Welcome to episode 3 of Psych Revolution. We had a little bit of a break for a little
Yeah.
while. Life got hectic for me, to say the least, and I had to take some time to deal with life, but now we're back. Today, we're just going to go over a super quick emotional regulation skill called the Please skill, as well as our normal Beauty and the Beast and mindfulness exercise. So I guess let's just go ahead and jump into it and start with Beauty and the Beast. Matt, do you want to go ahead and start with your Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, so my beast has just been starting the, as it's called, shadow work, where I'm delving into my past and dealing with my diagnosis, which oh yeah, that came in before we went on our break. So I'm at CPTSD with MDD, kind of as a side dish, a fucking symptom, basically. And so that's been fun, but it's been definitely good dealing with it. Bit of a trial. And my beauty has honestly been this thing I subscribe to called Ska Box, where you get a box of like ska related merch and CDs and really dope shit every month. And last month was Women in Ska, so it was extra dope.
Hell yeah, that is awesome. And real quick, a quick caveat. Those of you who don't know what MDD is, that's major depressive disorder. It's kind of like a new sort of diagnoses in a way for chronic depression. So those of
It's
you
it's
who
like
don't,
it's like depression on PCP.
yeah,
It
it's not
totally
fun.
sucks.
Yeah, it's not fun. And then I did forget really quick. I just want to throw it out there that the trigger warnings for today's episode are drug use and binge eating and or eating disorders. Those are kind of covered in the Please skills. So I just wanted to let everybody know out there that is going to be some topics of discussion that we will be speaking about today. Let's see. My beauty and my beast. Oh God, it's going to be hard just to pick one. I guess the biggest beast that I have right now is over the past, I don't know, like 6 weeks. I've been kind of in guinea pig mode with my psychiatrist, picking out like different medications, seeing what works. And along with a new adult ADHD diagnosis that I had, we've been trying to get my mood stabilized out before discussing like ADHD and possible ADHD medications. I had a really, really nasty interaction with my psychiatrist where I ended up getting yelled at and accused of pill seeking. And that was just a really just like achy sort of feeling, especially when it comes to like mental health in America. You know, they just kind of want to like throw pills down your throat. And then when you're willing to take the pills and you're willing to go through everything and you push for it, then you get crap back. So yeah, that was really crappy. And I've been finding my way through that. And I guess my beauty is, I guess they're kind of one and the same, you know, my beauty of just like the tenacity of like making the commitment to myself to try to get better and learn how to live my best life and, you know, weaponize my mental health so it doesn't control me. So, yeah, that's just kind of what I've been going through over, you know, the past few weeks. There's been quite a few more, but we'll just stick with that one. Um, so moving forward, I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. And this is the last week we're going to do the breathing exercise that we did over the first 2 episodes. Those of you who are just now tuning in, what we're going to be doing is, I believe what it's called is box breathing. And so what you're going to do is you're going to inhale for 4 seconds. You're going to hold your breath for 7, and then you're going to breathe out for 6, and you're just going to continue to keep doing that that pattern of breathing for 3 minutes. And then when we're done, it's supposed to, you know, promote oxygen to your brain, circulation, get endorphins going, and kind of get you into a really good mindful state to go into talking about the skill. Something that I like to do is I like to do what they call a soft gaze. Closing my eyes sometimes in situations like this can be triggering for some people. So I like just to take a soft gaze and try to look at something that's like really bland and like not really distracting, kind of like on the ground or like around me, and I just kind of stare at it. Also, it's been proven that if you take an open stance, palms up, if you're sitting in a chair, feet flat on the ground, just try to make sure you're as stable as possible and open to the mindfulness exercise. One last little caveat is mindfulness exercises are a practice. They are not a perfection. So if the whole entire time all you're doing is like, oh my God, I have to concentrate on the breathing and you've got all this stuff going on in your mind, that's okay. It takes practice to get to the point where you can actually meditate. I cannot meditate, but mindfulness practices that are short like this are something that I can do with my ADHD. So those are just a couple of tiny little suggestions. So everybody just go ahead and get into whatever position is comfortable for them right now. And I'm going to go ahead and start the timer. All right. So just go ahead and shake it out if you need to. And we're going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In. Out. In. Out. In. You feel your mind wandering or going to other places, that's fine. Just put a pin in it and continue with the practice. Last minute. Last 20 seconds. Right. Tying it up. Laughing at my timer song. It's Tootsie Roll by the 69 Boys. But
Nice.
I really like breathing exercises like that, but I do notice that like if I don't do them often, when I do them, like you almost get kind of like lightheaded. You're like, oh,
Yep.
It's like, oh, that's what it's like to have oxygen in my brain. Whoa, this is a feeling. But no, that felt good for me.
I should at least try doing these more often than when we film.
No, and you know what? 3 minutes, you know what I mean? Like it's not that long. Like there have been times where like I'm going to a job interview, I'm going to work, I'm even going to hang out with friends that like I trust and I feel safe around, and my anxiety level or whatever dysregulation is really coming through, and I just set a timer in my car. Sometimes it's only for a minute, sometimes it's 2 or 3 minutes, and I just do that breathing in my car, and it just kind of gets me into that state of like, okay, yeah, like let's go, instead of like
Right.
because is usually where I'm at 24/7. um yeah, any suggestions or ideas or just comments that you guys want to share about that mindfulness exercise? We're definitely more than open to, if there's something that you do, that it doesn't necessarily have to be a DBT skill. You don't necessarily have to be in therapy. It could be something that you just realized worked on your own. Please feel free to share it. And if it's something that you would like us to do here on the show, we're more than willing, to try it out. To see if it works. Okay, so moving forward to le please skill. So the please skill is an emotional regulation skill, and it basically just helps you check in with yourself and your physical state. A lot of the times when people get into mood dependent days where, let's say like you wake up and you make coffee and then you spill your coffee and it gets everywhere and then you have to clean it up and then your cat coughs up a hairball and you got to go clean that up and then, you get rear-ended or, whatever. And next thing you know, like you're like, oh my God, this day is going to be horrible and it's not going to get any better. This please skill is really good to use to check in with yourself to see if there are any other outside factors that could be causing the mood state that you're in. So please is an acronym. The acronym doesn't necessarily make sense really with the letters, but just bear with me. So the PL stands for physical illness. So when it comes to physical illness, being sick, we all know, makes you more susceptible to negative emotions. When you're sick, you're like, I don't feel so good. The world's going to end. Oh, I'm never going to feel better again. And, some people deal with it better than others. But it does make you more susceptible to negative emotions. Taking care of your body is super, super important. Asking yourself like, hey, what's getting in the way of me taking care of this? Is it lack of access to a doctor? Is it me just not calling the doctor? Is it me needing to get enrolled in health insurance? I know a lot of these things seem like really big things to have to conquer in order to get care, but it's more important to take care of your body because your mind like directly reflects how your body is feeling a lot of the time. Taking prescribed medications or seeking alternative care is also really important. If you're not taking your prescribed medications on time or regularly, your brain almost looks like one of those like heart rate monitors. You know what I mean? Like your brain's going crazy. It's not in a stable state. So making sure that you take your medications on time, or if you're someone who's not for medication, drinking your cup of 8 ounces of St. John's wort or whatever every day that helps you, make sure you do that because taking care of yourself is very important regardless of whether or not you think you're worth it. Another acronym to use in this situation is called the HALT acronym. It's hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Check in with yourself. Are you feeling any of these feelings? If you are they having an impact on your physical illness or your physical health? If they are, do what you can to change it and see if it helps your physical state. E is for balanced eating. Do not eat too much and do not eat too little. Binge eating and lack of eating is a need for control for a lot of people that deal with mental health illnesses. And a lot of the times these can have very negative effects. Binge eating can cause weight gain, which causes, physical problems. It causes emotional problems. It causes problems with how you view yourself and your self-confidence. And same on the opposite side of that is when you eat too little, obviously not a good thing.
Or you're like me
also,
and you just have a problem remembering to feed yourself. Don't do that.
Yes,
set reminders.
Yes, set reminders. I have that big thing. I have a really hard time eating breakfast in the morning, but a lot of the medications that I take can cause GI issues. So what I do is I have a very specific way I do things in the morning. When I wake up, I get up, I go make my coffee, I make breakfast, I force myself to eat it even if I don't want to, and then I go and take my medication. And I have this kind of deal with myself that I can't take my medication until I eat. And I know that if I don't take my medication that day, Kelly's going to be a little woo. So, you know what I mean? Like, I very much know with having ADHD that like I can know that I need to eat and I know that I'm hungry, but sometimes I'll get so hyper fixated on whatever I'm doing in that moment that I don't eat for like 6 hours. And by the time I do finally eat, I'm sick, I'm shaking, my knees are weak. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a good place to be in. So, you know, making sure that you eat is very, very important. Something else to take into consideration is, what do you eat that makes you feel good? And what do you eat that makes you feel bad? And what I mean by that is, if you're hungry in the morning and you decide, oh, I'm going to go eat some steel cut oats with blueberries and a little bit of cream in there, and it's like a healthy, well-rounded meal, you know, you're going to feel good after that, right? Whereas if you're like, oh, I'm lazy, I'm going to DoorDash some McDonald's and get me an egg McMuffin, that's probably not going to make you feel good in the morning with all of that grease and everything like in your stomach. Doesn't make me feel good. Doesn't mean that I don't do it sometimes. But, you know, just checking in with yourself and making sure that you're giving your body what you need.
If you're going to be if you're going to be lazy, try to upgrade to at least Denny's. Don't downgrade to a donut. If you're going to be lazy, get yourself something good, okay? Please.
Yeah, exactly. Emotional eating and binge eating is also another thing to watch out for. Something that I deal with ADHD is I eat out of boredom. When it gets to the time where it gets kind of late at night for me, like past like 8 o'clock, and I'm like sitting in my room and I'm on my iPad and I'm watching something on my TV, I'll get bored. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, we have Ritz crackers, and I'll go eat Ritz crackers. And I'll be like, oh, we have blueberries, and then I'll go eat blueberries. And I'll be like, oh, we have chocolate chips, and then I'll go eat chocolate chips. And then I wake up the next morning and my stomach's like, why, bro?
What did you do to me?
Exactly.
I hate you.
You know, taking that HALT skill once again into consideration. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or bored? Checking in with yourself every single time you go to eat something. I know it seems like a lot, but it only takes 30 seconds for you to check in with yourself and be like, is this really what I want right now? Or am I just eating because I'm trying to forget about something, or whatever? Because, you know, eating releases dopamine in your brain. Excuse me. And people like me with my diagnoses, especially with ADHD, there's a depletion of dopamine in your brain. So when you eat like sugar, things like that, you know, it releases dopamine in your brain and you get that high. So sometimes, you know, when you want to binge eat, maybe check in with yourself and be like, oh, maybe I should do 25 jumping jacks. Get that endorphins and that dopamine in your brain instead of choosing to binge eat.
Or if you're a gamer, turn on your game and go, I'll check in with myself later. All of a sudden 2 hours went by and you didn't binge eat.
Yeah, do something. Distract yourself. Absolutely. Distracting yourself, which is actually a DBT skill, is very good. But there's a very fine line with that. There's a difference between distracting and avoiding. So make sure that you're using it to actually distract yourself from binge eating or whatever, or are you using it to avoid? And that's, once again, another chance for you to check in with yourself.
Yeah. You don't want all of a sudden I'm top level on Final Fantasy and 3 days went by.
Yeah, right.
Guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't done that with video games, but I've definitely done that with like hyperfixating on like a TV series on like Netflix. I remember the first time I watched Downton Abbey, I was like, for like a day and a half. It's like, I was probably going to eat something.
That was me with Supernatural for 3 months. Friends forgot what I looked like.
Worth it. It's Supernatural. Yep. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. So the A stands for mood altering drugs. So the A in mood altering, that's for that's for those of you who need clarification. Don't take non-prescribed drugs. Okay. So I'm going to be real with you guys. I live in California. I live in the Bay Area. I am for all alternative forms of like mental health treatment, whether it be ketamine, MDMA, whatever, like whatever works for you, boo boo, like do it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's a difference between doing it for a therapeutic reason and doing it to forget. And that's what this is about. Don't drink alcohol or use substances if it's a problem. And this is kind of a hairy situation because for some people, they can, you know, divulge in all of these things and have it not become a problem and then just stop and it's cool. And then there's other people who can't. So that's kind of like, you know, something that you need to check in with yourself about. If you
I've got a way I want. So if you find yourself sitting alone, pounding 40s, listening to the saddest music that you like, you're crashing for weeks on end, you're crashing your bad days, and I don't care what you tell yourself, there's a problem you need to check in with yourself about.
Absolutely. Within your, check in with yourself, a friend, a family member, a crisis line, doesn't matter. There's always somebody there. All you have to do is type into your Google on your phone, your computer, your iPad. You can find somebody to talk to. So please don't forget that. If you do mix your meds with a mood altering or mind altering drug, what effect does that have on your mood? Check in with yourself when you do use. I'll be the first one to say, if you do that and you can come out of it scot-free and you're fine and you don't go manic for 2 weeks afterwards, do you, boo-boo. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. You know what I mean? But if using these while on the medications that you're on does have a negative effect, you need to check in with yourself, because at that point, you're just causing yourself to chase your own tail. You're not moving forward. You're stuck in a stagnant position, and that's not a good place to be in when it comes to mental health. Also, check in with yourself and ask yourself, who do you use your substances with and why? Is it the people that you're hanging out with? Are the people that you're hanging out with, do they have your best interests at heart? Or are they just trying to have somebody to get high with? Take that into consideration. I've been in those situations. I've battled addiction my whole entire life. And 90% of the time, it's because of the people that I'm hanging out with are more concerned about not wanting to get high alone and having somebody around than they are about why we're using it and how much we're using it. You know, like check in with yourself and see if these are really people that you want to be around or people that you really consider friends. Check in with them, have a conversation with them about it. You know, if the conversation doesn't go well, there you go. You have your answer. You know, I'm all about safe usage. You know what I mean? So if you're in a safe space and you're okay and everything's going fine, like props, everybody needs time to let loose every once in a while. But if it's having a negative effect on your life, that's not a positive thing. No. And once again, that HALT skill. Are you using because you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Most of the time, it's not because you're hungry, because most of the time, a lot of things that you use don't make you not hungry. But, you know, check in with yourself with you know, the angry, the lonely, and the tired. You know what I mean? Like, are you having other feelings? Are you using because you're trying to avoid dealing with these feelings or a situation that you're dealing with in your life? These are all questions to have when you're in situations like this. So the S stands for sleep. Self-explanatory. Try to get as much sleep as you can that helps you feel rested. This varies from person to person. I have some friends that only need like 4 to 6 hours of sleep every night. Excuse me, and they're fine. I need like 7 to 9, sometimes 10. If I don't get more than 7 hours of sleep, I am not always the nicest person to be around. To be completely honest, I'm sure if I could grab my mom and stepdad and have them come in, they'd be like, yeah, no, you don't want to be around Kelly when she doesn't get enough sleep. I am like the angry 2-year-old that like didn't get enough sleep and won't go down for the nap and is just like screaming and crying in every direction. Like, that's me.
Typically, I just become useless instead of angry.
Yeah.
Like I am the most worthless pile of trash in the fucking space that day if I am that exhausted.
Dumpster fire.
Exactly.
Right. Keep to a sleep schedule if you have difficulty sleeping. I know this is hard for a lot of people, especially my age, who like want to go out and hang out with their friends, and because we're adults, we hang out till like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Like I know when I used to go to fire jams all the time, sometimes those fire jams would go till like 3:30 in the morning, and they would start at like 8:30, 9,
My
so
gosh.
it's hard, when you're a part of things like that and you want to go out and you want to be social. But at the same time, when the nights when you're not doing that, set a strict sleep schedule for yourself, whether it's, okay, I'm going to set an alarm that goes off at 10:30. So I know that in the next hour, I need to be asleep by 11:30 because I need to be up by 7:30 in the morning and I need to get 8 hours of sleep. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't help your friends.
Yeah.
You can't help your family. You can't be there for yourself if your brain isn't working properly. If you don't get enough REM cycles, rapid eye movement cycles in your brain, which is when you're in a deep sleep, that's when your brain gets a chance to rest and reboot. And when you don't get that sleep, and I think you need a minimum of 2 to 3 REM cycles a night to get that, your cognitive function is gone. That's why when you don't get enough sleep, it's harder for you to make decisions. It takes longer for you to respond. You know what I mean? Like your brain's not working properly. And when your brain's not working properly, your emotions aren't working properly.
Hmm.
So you have to make sure to get that sleep. Don't associate your bed with anything besides sleeping and intimacy. And what this means, and I struggle with this because of kind of like the way my house is set up, is when you use your bed for anything besides those, like you lay in bed like watching TV all day, or you do art crafts like on your bed, it associates in your brain your bed with things other than sleeping. So when you actually get into your bed, your brain is like, oh, we're sleeping, but we're doing this and we're doing this and we're doing this, and it's hard for your brain to shut down. So if that is something that you can do, I would suggest it. Something that one of my DBT instructors suggested to do is every morning when you wake up, make your bed perfect, like to a T. Like you could bounce a motherfucking quarter off that shit, and do that on purpose. So, what do you not want to do? You don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
So you stay out of your bed throughout the day. I had another friend who would actually pile all of her dirty laundry on her bed throughout the day so she couldn't get on it. So she'd have to stay out of her bed all day. Just doing little things like this. Also, what helps you sleep better? Is it the scent of lavender in your pillow? Is it, a cup of peppermint tea? Is it a mindfulness exercise? Get into some sort of sleep hygiene that works for you before you go to bed. Because let's face it, it's all about you, right? Fuck
Hmm.
everybody else. Once again, the HALT scale. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Are these things that are keeping you from sleeping? If you're trying to go to sleep and your stomach growls and you're like, screw it, I'll just like eat in the morning, it's fine. But then half an hour, 45 minutes, you're still up, like go get something light and small to eat so you can go to sleep. Take care of yourself. Lastly, the E stands for exercise. So this is something I struggle with. I have fibromyalgia. It's pretty gnarly. So repetitive stress injuries are something that I have to worry about. So doing like, this or jumping jacks or even running is something that the very next day I could wake up and my arms don't work properly. I can't really walk. I have a lot of issues with this. So I have found other ways, which you can go online and look if you're disabled, look for modified ways to do things. Like I found that if you kneel, right, and you got your legs on the ground and you sit on your feet and come back up, that's actually the equivalent to doing a real squat. You know what I mean? So like I'll do those when I need to do exercise. Doing exercise every day is super important. Make it realistic. Something that I've started doing is I got a jump rope because jump roping is something that I can do. And on days when I feel up to it, even if it's just for 30 seconds to get that endorphin release in my brain, I jump rope. Trying to make it realistic and fit it into your schedule. Don't go all out and hyperfixate and be like, I'm going to exercise for 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day. I'm going to do all this stuff. And you do it for 2 days and then you don't do it for 3. And then you have a hard time getting back into it. Do something that's realistic for you. Work up to something like that. Consider what gets in the way of exercising. For me, it's my disability. For other people, you know what I mean? It might be lack of access or um, stubbornness. You know what I mean? Some people
Hmm.
just don't want to do it. You know what I mean? Check in with yourself and try to figure out why and try to figure out a way around that. Also, another thing to concentrate on is how do you feel after you exercise? I know after I exercise, I am on top of the world. I'm like, I know I didn't realistically, but I'm like, I just lost 5 pounds. Like, you feel good about yourself. The endorphins are going. You know what I mean? It's a great place to be, and it's a natural way to do it.
And
Um,
a great exercise that most of us can do is just go for a walk. Step
Absolutely.
out your door, pick a point to go to and come back from, and just start walking.
Make a playlist on Spotify. Pick an
Yep.
artist that you've wanted to get into that you don't know, or just pick something random. You know what I mean? Like, click on, the Who, the HU, the Mongolian throat singing metal band. You're like, I'm gonna check that out, and like go on your walk. Pick flowers, pet dogs, like, make it a thing for yourself, for your own self care.
I
Another
mean, maybe you're fortunate enough to live in a cool area like I do, where you can go for a walk at night and see deer, and a year and a half later, it's still the coolest fucking thing in the world to me.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love it. I used to live in a place in Marin County where there were like deer in our backyard all the time. And I always thought it was so funny that they would be like so into what they were doing and they'd be walking around. And then, like, the moment they notice a human is watching them, they're like, we're not here. You don't see us. Even though there's like
They
10 of them in my backyard and they're all
or they let out
massive.
that blood curdling scream and run away.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
what the actual fuck
You're like,
was
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. Come back.
I'm more scared of you now.
Yeah, right. Right. I didn't know you could make that sound. Another thing to take into consideration is it's actually been scientifically proven that exercise works faster than a very high percentage of psychiatric medications. Even when you take like those fast acting like anxiety pills that take like 10 or 15 minutes to kick in, you jump rope for 30 seconds. I guarantee you those endorphins that you wanted from whatever are going to be there on their own. So it's also something to take into consideration when you're really in a rough spot. Just do it. Like, I've had friends who, at work are having rough days. They run to the bathroom and they do jumping jacks for like 30 seconds in the bathroom at work just to get their head out of that mind, or that their mind out of that space, to be able to move forward um, throughout their day. And then lastly, the last part of the last skill is increase the likelihood of you exercising. Whether you have the means to or not, you know what I mean? Like, get really like cute shoes or something, like, workout shoes that you want to use, or a workout outfit, or call up a really good friend that, you want to like make a date with once a week to like go out and do something to help hold it, both of you like accountable for it, like try to make it fun for yourself. I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to exercise, all of us think back to like middle school and high school, like PE, like, like I want to do this, but
Right.
part of the police skill and part of getting, weaponizing your mental health and getting yourself to a place where you're, you're your best version of yourself, is checking in with yourself and taking care of yourself. And exercising is definitely part of that. So that's pretty much the whole please skill. Obviously, if anybody has any questions or comments that they want to add to it, please add it into the comments under the video. Matt and I are more than welcome to, or more than happy to have conversations with anybody about this. Or, if you use the skill and it worked, share it. If you use the skill and it didn't work, tell us why. You know what I mean? Like, we would love to hear everybody's input. And lastly, because this episode this week's going to be a little bit shorter since we're dipping our toes back into the water, Matt's going to go ahead and give us the rundown about why Matt and I also choose to share music to help with weaponizing your mental health and give you a safe space to experience your emotions.
Right. So for me, like, just starting as a kid, and I mean, happened to basically live in the hood in the 90s. So I was hearing a lot of hip hop. As I get older, I'm adding punk and ska to that. Like those three genres in particular. Um, Also going through the fucking war zone that was my home life. It started helping me develop different ideas of what a family even is. And I mean, that's why I sat in my little short. Blood doesn't mean family, and you don't know those people's shit just because you share a family tree with them. And I mean, and especially within punk and ska and emo, there are an awful lot of songs about mental health and addiction, things that a lot of us in this community struggle with. So it just kept striking chords. And I mean, when you hear musicians that, like, people you look up to that are going through the same shit you are, suddenly you know damn well you're not alone. And it's awesome. It's freeing. It's liberating. And I'll still put an album up for the week. It's going to be Kill Lincoln, Good Riddance to Good Advice, which it's just great. You'll hear it.
It is. It is such a good song. It's so good.
And it's my favorite music video of like the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. For me, music and mental health was always really important to me. And I didn't realize it when I was a teenager why I was doing it. But having my diagnosis so late in life, with having a personality disorder, having BPD, a lot of the time, and to no fault to my family, nobody knew, right? Like you can't, most of the time you can't diagnose somebody under the age of 18 with a personality disorder, because a lot of the things that are prevalent in a personality disorder are kind of a part of like that normal emo hormonal, like teenager crap that you go through. So I was always diagnosed as like manic depressive, right? So growing up, having a personality disorder and not knowing it, I was always kind of seen as like the drama queen and would always make a big deal about things. So I always felt invalidated. Like I never felt like I could be myself and I could feel my emotions to the level that I was feeling them, because they would always be dismissed. And like I said, no fault to my family. They didn't know. Now that they do know, my family is like one of the most supportive and biggest proponents in my mental health, like every day. You know what I mean? My family is super, super supportive. So being able to listen to like Seether and Evanescence and Blink-182 and Green Day and System of the Down, and just be able to be in my room and flow with the emotions and things that were coming through in the music that the artists were trying to convey, like really gave me a sense of like home, of like, they know what's up. Like you said, like I'm not the only one feeling like this, because if I was, this song wouldn't be out. You know what I mean? And like, just when Seether and Amy Lee came out with that song Broken, yo, like my world was like turned upside down, because I was just like, oh my God, like someone knows, like it's not just me. And like I feel like with music, and for a lot of people, like that's the way it is. You know what I mean? Like you sit there and you feel so like just like pushed off to the side, and just like in this solitary kind of like confinement feeling. And then like you hear these songs and they're validating, they're liberating. It's like, wow, cool. Because if I feel this way, then there's probably a crap ton of other people that are listening to this song that feel the same way. And it gave me a sense of community, even though I didn't know anybody else, you know, that was like listening to the music. Like it made me feel like, oh crap, like all these people that are fans of this band, like we cool. You know what I mean? Like some dude that too, wait, no, the LL Cool J was, what was it? It was like, or whatever. But yeah, like music is very important to me, and it's very important, you know, to Matt. Like I sing, I play the flute, I kind of play the guitar. You know, I did like recording stuff, you know, on like the like tech side when I was like a teenager for a little while. You know, so, you know, music is very, very near and dear to Matt and I. So because of that, we like to share that with other people, because we know we're not the only ones. And sometimes it takes just hearing one song from one band that you've never heard to be like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And open up a whole new world for you. So I feel like that's just kind of why we do it. And this song, I had never heard it until probably, I don't know, like a couple months ago, maybe when you first, Matt, when you first sent it to me.
One
And
of
like,
the numerous times I've said
yeah, and I literally listened to that song like 5 or 6 times in a row because I was like, one, this guy can like sing and flow, like this is legit. And like the message that it puts across is just like it's really cool. So I hope everyone enjoys it.
Because to me, the message they were putting across, it was kind of like that. You're crashing your bad times, and that's why he's saying good riddance to good advice. And I'm like, it's not encouraging you to do it, but it's like, fuck, have I been there or what?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. We've all been in that place where, you know, you're in a bad spot and somebody does give you good advice. And there's that one part of your brain that's like, hey, maybe you should listen to it. And then there's the other part of your brain that's like a little brain gremlin that's like, fuck
Nah, we doing bad shit.
you know, and, you know, I think it also goes to say that, like, you know, have compassion and grace for yourself. We all have bad times. We all make bad decisions. It doesn't necessarily make us bad people, but it's up to you to make the change in yourself to make that stop happening. And that's kind of like what I get from that song, at least for me, is, you know, you can make dumb choices. We all do that. You know, I had a short pixie cut in middle school. You know what I mean? That was a horrible idea. All the girls had long hair, and I was the only girl with super short hair. It was the worst decision in my life. I got teased for 2 years for it. You know what I mean? Like, we've all made bad decisions. But, you know, moving past them is what is important. We are still going to be releasing videos. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be on like a regular schedule like we were before, at least for the next like month or so. I'm still kind of going through a lot of stuff with my family, and we have a lot of stuff up in the air right now because we have some big changes happening. And I'm not always available to film, but we are going to try to get out, I think, at least 2 to 3 videos this month, and then maybe by May, get back to like the once a week videos, sans Mother's Day weekend because it's my birthday weekend. Yay for turning 35. Woo!
Right.
According to the life expectancy of America, I'm about halfway through my life right now.
Well, shit.
Right? I'm like, fuck.
I'm a bit north of 35.
Just a little bit, though.
Just a little. Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, so yeah, if you guys have any comments, any suggestions, anything that you guys would like us to talk about or research, we're more than open to any input that you guys have. But besides that, Matt, I don't know, do you have anything else you want to add, or do we want to tie it up for this week?
No, I think we good for the week. I'll still be posting shorts for y'all as something comes to me that I want to post.
I'm gonna try to start doing that too, but like,
awesome.
I am so bad with technical stuff. Like, I'm the type of person that tries to like download iTunes or get my iTunes to work, and like the whole grid shuts down. Like, I have the worst luck when it comes to electronics and technology. Like, I don't even think I, to this day, still fully know how to use Facebook. So like, I'm gonna try to figure out how to do that myself.
If you absolutely have to, just shoot it and send it to me.
I might start doing that. I'm so bad at it. I'm so bad at it. I'm the type of person that would like try to post a video and like the whole time it's like of this and like me, and it's just yeah, we'll figure it out. But anyways, all right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in this week. Remember to be kind to yourself and to others, and I don't know, attempt to make good choices for yourself. Be kind to yourself. That's the number one thing. Be kind. And we will
take your meds and practice self-care.
Yes. That is going to be our sign off from now on. Take your fucking meds and practice self-care. If you don't take meds, practice self-care. And on that note, we love you guys. Have a great week. And we'll see you next week.